It's cold tonight, actually. There was a ton of snow earlier on the mountains. Beautiful day in Southern California. And a great time to talk about Los Angeles journalism. Because I put out a nice list of all the best journalists on Substack for people to subscribe. Better check out that list. And I like to think that a lot of time, effort, and thought went into that. Because it's not easy to get to know so many of the big, major, amazing independent names in Los Angeles journalism. Esoteric Tours, Empty Los Angeles, Megan Kuniff, got Daniel Gus. Shout out to Ruth Ruthless, my co-writer. Ruth Ruthless, surviving the sweep. And I apparently have sparked a little bit of debate amongst the local press corps as to the quality of a certain former elected officials' journalism, but I like what he does. I think that even if you have some beef with somebody and it might involve chili, you shouldn't let it stew forever. You should be able and willing to resolve those differences in a way, right? If you hate somebody forever, that hatred will only consume you. And I mean, I don't necessarily even think that all of the LA politicians are bad. Some of them are trying, others are just bad. I'll be honest, some of them are just bad. But others of them are trying, and you have to give some credit to people who are at least trying to get things right, to do the right thing. And man, this road is dark. I enjoy a nice dark road. And I like to think that Los Angeles isn't on the darkest of dark roads, but pretty much the agreement among everybody is that things are not going great in LA. I mean, it's got so many problems, and the ability of Los Angeles to fix its own problems seems to be fairly limited. They just aren't able to get working viable strategies together, right? They can really start to get things going. What's up, Canoga Snow? Happy Friday night. It's Friday. I was just at Walmart, to be honest, getting a few things. I had to get a new battery pack because somebody lost theirs and took mine. And I'm not going desert hiking without a fully charged battery pack. That's just something I've always had. I even actually still have my incredibly old ancient battery pack that doesn't even hold charge, and I haven't thrown it out yet because I keep meaning to get this into the electronics recycling, but this one is so old that it no longer holds a charge. You can see it just flashes like that, and even if you try to charge it, it won't charge anymore. So I need to get rid of that one. If there's another replacement, the last one I had, I lost at LA City Hall, and I even made a good faith effort to find it. I even walked the curbs, checked with the LAPD at the front desk. Now that battery pack was gone. So journalism problems. And at the time I was no, I lost my favorite battery pack. The one I carried through a million streams, carried around in my backpack for years in the wilderness. But you can't have anything forever. So new battery pack is coming, but it's Friday night. Take a little cruise here, get where I'm going. I keep meaning to do more regular streaming, not just there's around, but I'm also perpetually short on time. And then I'm not trying to turn everybody and everything into content. There's only a certain level at which you want to be the person they're streaming. A few months ago I went to a play and they were they saw me and somebody else out with our phones out, and they were shh, no streaming. And it's a reasonable request. If somebody does not want you streaming their event, right? Don't stream it. As far as streaming applications of journalism, certainly I have tried to explore how you can use this technology, right, for journalism. And beyond just talking, right, can you use this to catch people doing things they're not supposed to zoom in on the faces of politicians in public meetings and make them feel uncomfortable because you're putting them on camera. Yes. And I kind of miss that about like LA. Like, it's certainly like making LA politicians uncomfortable was something I particularly enjoy doing with my journalism. Asking hard questions, reading everything all the way through and picking it apart. I have a 150 page, actually I think it's a 161 page federal audit, federally sponsored audit into homelessness that I need to read. So that's probably coming in the next couple of days. I was trying to figure out with Ruth, like, how we were going to do that story, if we were going to try to pitch a bigger publication or if we were just going to Substack it. And she's like, we got to get it out on Substack. So we might have to do that. And then I have another like story I'm working on, hopefully in like the next couple of weeks maybe, about like sexual assault and how that affects people. Because I think that's a topic that people don't talk about enough, and it's really, really important. So like, I always try to do my journalism the right way, like hardcore investigation, solid sourcing. Sometimes people question my stories, but usually, to be honest, they can never quite disprove them. They can go, yeah, but disproving it is a whole another thing. And I think that's a sign, right? The story is good, right? If they can't just, like, people can deny it, they can deny things, but if it's really, really good work, the work will stand the test of time. So shout out to all the hardworking journalists in Los Angeles doing things the right way, getting, tough to tell stories out. And I've had people come to me sometimes with stories that they themselves were afraid of breaking, usually because it involved real life people, right? And they're like, if I call this person, right, like a slumlord, and I don't have like all the evidence, completely in line, right? Are they going to sue me for defamation? Am I going to get sued if I run this story? And like, certainly like in the age of Trump, right? Trump suing people, suppressing the media. I don't know how you have so many fights with, like people like the AP and like ABC News, but that guy fights everybody. He's the most fightingest like billionaire around, who just happened to like stumble his way into power that he's not prepared to handle. Big concern, like the economy, right? Like, there's already enough homeless people in America, and like, if you take the economy, are we gonna have more homeless people in America? Like, is that what's coming next? Like, well, people, if you lay off right, like hundreds of thousands of federal employees, like it's happening now, like, how does that impact local economies, right? Like, is that really going to drive the economy under, right? Combined with tariffs, like, on our biggest trading partners. I don't know. That man is delusional and he's in charge. And that's, like, absolutely terrifying. So, like, I like to think that we're going to make it through this, that we won't just have years of ruination coming. But I do fear that's what's coming. What's up, Night Train Machine? Good evening. And like, as a filler word, I gotta stop using so many filler words. It's good to think about the big issues, right? But like, everything at the end of the day comes down to local. Like, it's all local stuff. Now, a lot of people are just wrapped up in the big level stuff, but they take it out at the local level, right? Like, they bully the people who, are different than them, in their communities, even though they're being, driven, essentially by this widespread culture of dislike. Calling people DEI hires, saying, trans people, right, playing sports is like the biggest problem we're facing. And like, I have to admit, like, I too was shocked that Governor Gavin Newsom went along with that conversation with Charlie Kirk. And like, Charlie Kirk was just at USC, and like, apparently the guy's entire thing is he debates college students. And like, I don't know if that's the proper forum, because people in college are highly often open to suggestion. And like, this is probably where the right wing is doing a really good job, particularly on white males. They're doing a really, really good job of getting through to the white males. And that's like something I heard after the election from somebody. They were like, we just didn't do a good enough job of competing. That guy went for it. Woo! On white males, right? Like, the Democratic Party did not appeal to white men in any meaningful way, right? And like some of this is, just the DEI like card, like I will hate, people who are different than me, they have an unfair advantage, even though they will argue, right, historically they didn't. But like how to like overcome that voting barrier to where the Democratic Party is successful at getting at least some of those votes, so they don't lose the entire thing, is like something, right? Like it takes you back to like, kind of the Bill Clinton Democratic Party. And Obama too, I saw some people trying to cast Obama as like the most woke liberal president ever, and it's just not even true. Like Obama was against gay marriage to start. So I don't know how he's getting made out to be like the hyper liberal that he wasn't, but it's not necessarily true. It's kind of a demonization strategy of ideas that are different, people that are different, immigrants, which is insane. Immigrants are some of the hardest working people in America. And if you drive like an hour south of here, you will find America's essentially vegetable and fruit basket going on out in the desert, where people are growing your food. And not all of them are American citizens by any means. But just because somebody wasn't born here doesn't mean that they can't contribute to the society. And I read this in the LA Times today. There was like this piece about how the Democrats were losing. And it argued, right, that Americans weren't ready for the wholesale, essentially importation of people from Africa and the Middle East and Asia who just don't share American values. And I thought that was a really, really weak argument. And like, I didn't make it to the end of it to see how the AI rebutted that. But this idea that people from other countries are so antithetically different to Americans that they will not integrate into American society has been disproven time and time again. I mean, they did it to the Irish, they did it to the Italian, they did it to the Jews. To object to people because you think that they don't want to be part of your society is really short-sighted, and it's certainly something that's not even remotely true. People come to America because they want to be Americans, right? Like they want to be part of America. They don't want to be in a third world, essentially, that's somehow so intolerable that they carry away the bad things from their culture and not the good ones. I just have never found that to be even remotely true. Most people who come to America because they want the American dream. And we have to dream more. We have to dream bigger. We have to have a continually expanding tent. And I will never buy, right, that people who are Syrian, who are Nepali, who are from Ghana, somehow don't want to be part of American liberal democracy, because so often what they're coming here for isn't just the economic, opportunity. It's for the freedom of thought, the freedom of speech, freedom of religion that we have. And when we go away from the ability to speak freely and instead we don't speak at all, that is very dangerous. That is dangerous. The silencing of people is very dangerous. And taking away, particularly this is where people are starting to get really nervous, right? That you're going to take away the diversity from particularly our entertainment culture. And we're going to have this homogenous sort of lily white world again is really alarming. I don't know why anybody would want to live in that. I find it tremendously boring. I don't know, I guess people don't like spice in their food or something. But personally, I mean, I love me some Indian food. I love me Thai food. I love Ethiopian food too. If you've never been to like little Ethiopia in Los Angeles, out there on the west side, on Fairfax, they got some Ethiopian food is delicious. Why would you not want Ethiopians in America? How does that make sense? Like, how is it logical? Like, that's not what we're about. So, I don't know. I guess right-wing, dial it down. Stop thinking AI is the cure for everything. Like, accept people who are different than you. Welcome diversity. Welcome it. Welcome it. America's supposed to be the leader of the free world, right? It's not supposed to be the recalcitrant sort of place that woulda, coulda, shoulda, never did. That's not who we are. It's never been who we are. And like, maybe I sound too much like Obama when I say that, but it's just not something I was raised to believe in. I mean, my grandparents were, excluded from this country too. And time proved that that was wrong. That was not the right strategy to have. It just wasn't. You have to welcome people in, no matter how, powerful and wealthy you think you are. Like, our ability to bring people into the fold is the most important tool that we have for our own national security, even more than the military. If you welcome people to America, America will get stronger, not weaker. It will never be weaker because we welcome people. So shame on the Republicans for doing that, messing with foreign aid, because like, oh my God, we might give something to somebody for free. Like, pure insanity. Pure insanity. They have no idea what they're doing. They are quite literally taking down the best parts of America, which we're the leader of the free world. That's always been our argument, right? We are the leader of the free world. And if we're not the leader of the free world, we're going to lose. We're absolutely going to lose. And like, I think, we're starting to see some of these effects. Like, this area in particular happens to actually be 20% Canadian. The Canadians come here. The Canadians bring the business. And we're starting a trade war with Canada. This is like one of the few places I think in America you can see Canadian license plates and Mexican license plates. And like, I think that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful North American continent. But instead, we are turning into this world, right, where we are isolating ourselves in a way that's tremendously unhealthy, unnatural, and is risking our national security quite literally. Because we can't secure our own borders through goodness, and instead we have to create trade wars where there was no trade war before. We're the aggressor. And like, America has never been the country of aggression, right? Like, George Washington was not for foreign entanglements. That's the founder of this country, right? We've never benefited from any of our foreign entanglements. Even when we're seizing land, right? Like from Mexico, because we seized a whole lot of land from Mexico, from the Philippines, or from any other country, Afghanistan and Iraq. It doesn't end well. It really doesn't. So I think we have to adjust ourselves to this new reality and to start realizing that the way we get to being a better world is through sharing our prosperity, through welcoming trade, through welcoming people, not isolating ourselves in bubbles and bastions of wealth. Because that's what this is. And to be honest, it's Friday night and it's pretty dead out here. There's a restaurant. There's hardly anybody on that patio. America alone cannot economically sustain itself without doing a whole lot more to bring business to the table. And this is something we've always known. We've always known that we have to trade with foreign countries. The trade with China in the United States, it goes back to the 1780s. That's right, Americans sell to China in the 1780s to get China, fine China, right? Tea, jade, silk, all of those wonderful luxury items that people in New England wanted, in their kitchens, at their kitchen table, in their bedrooms, right? Those fancy things, those came from overseas, and it's because we traded for it. So being anti-trade, being anti-aid, it's really just a short-term recipe for disaster. And I hope and pray that this is not going to end as badly as it's starting, because this is not a good path that we're on. It really, really isn't. It's not going to end well. And I'm just amazed how few people are out here actually tonight. And this is usually a very thriving business district, but it's very empty tonight. And I just wonder, right, this is the height of tourism season out here, where all the business is. And it's a little late, it's like 10 p.m., but it's not that late. I don't know why those restaurants aren't booming. Maybe the Canadians are gone. Got some public art here. I don't know. Did we scare away our friends? Is that what America did? We scared away our friends with Trump's idiocy. It's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. And like, some of the stories I'm seeing already suggest that the effects of this are very immediate. People do not travel overseas to go to countries that they think are unfriendly. And there's already widespread reports that people from Canada are feeling really annoyed. They don't want to be told, right, that they should be part of America by force. You don't have to be Panamanian or a Greenlander to think that self-determination, which is something that Americans have died fighting for, World War I, is important. It's important. So I don't know where this is going. This is my little cruise for tonight. And I'm surprised it's not busier out here tonight. I thought for sure there would be more people. I was even going to maybe stop and walk around, but it's dead. So I hope that the power of the idea of the American dream does not die with Donald Trump, because if it does, we're in deep, deep trouble. So, end of my rant tonight. Everybody, thank you for joining. Check out the Substack with the list of Los Angeles journalists. You might find a new and amazing writer that you haven't read before. Pretty great stuff. I put some work into that. I'm told it's very, very good. And be well, kind yourselves. And if you travel abroad, spend a lot of money. I'm out.